good, listeners? Our guest on Just Talking is triple threat director, writer, and actor Paul to discuss his psychodrama film, Red River Road, live on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show. How's it going, fam?
It's going good. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Paul.
Hey, absolutely. It's good seeing you, Paul. And before we even begin our conversation, let's go ahead and play the teaser trailer now for Red River Road.
What day is it today?
Thursday.
Do you know the date?
No, I don't know the date.
I don't know the date either.
It's just us, Mom.
How do you know it's real?
Because this feels real to me. Doesn't this feel real to you?
Baby, this has been over for months, and we're stranded out here. We have no idea what's going on. How would we know?
I can't find your father.
What are they taking from us?
Everything.
We always said that if the powers that be wanted to take full control, that this is how they would do it.
There's thousands of people communicating. They have been for months.
You can't listen to this. We could all be infected by now.
Should you do this? I need to know.
You're not real. I remember.
Oh, man, it is so freaking intense. Congrats on the film, Paul. And for anybody that was just watching that trailer right now, what can you tell them about this film?
So it's a pandemic movie. We shot it during the pandemic. Only this pandemic spreads electronically to the internet and distorts your ability to perceive reality. So it's one of those, I just take you down the wormhole with them.
So you're basically shrooming through the internet?
Yeah, that's what I feel like you're getting at. Right, Paul?
I think shrooms are way more fun.
What happened here? Unless you're on a bad acid trip. That is true. Shrooms are a lot of fun. Acid, and sometimes not so good.
Not so fun.
Well, Red River Road is not necessarily like a jump out of your seat thriller, but it had me kind of scratching my head and kind of pulling out my mustache a little bit throughout the entire film. So how would you describe your style of screenwriting? Because it worked out so well on screen.
You know, I write sort of at different voices at different times. And this one just felt like it wanted to evolve slowly. My whole intention was, you don't know how tight the noose is until it's already around your neck. That was sort of the vibe that I wanted, or the pace that we wanted to go to. And it never really lets up. You know, you kind of ease into it and you think, well, I'm just watching this family go about their business. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're on the downhill part of the roller coaster with it. And that's
it's definitely got that slow burn feel, but I'm telling you, when it that second half, oh my gosh, it is like a roller coaster. It's definitely going to keep in. Wait for that
for
drop
those
out.
Halloween nights when you want to put those scary movies in. Yours is on that. That is a perfect movie to watch.
Yeah,
It's
also built to keep the conversation going. Like, it's built for you to kind of make up what happens, and the person sitting next to you might have a completely different movie they saw. And you can
you absolutely definitely 100%. Get that feeling. I'm biting my tongue because the CCS family, you definitely have to check out the film for yourself. And then, you know, if you want to come into my DMs, you want to have that conversation, feel free. Let's have it. But hey, Paul, are you aware of the following phrase? I'm the boss in this house, and I have my wife's permission to say so.
Yes.
So
I mean, that up?
Well, the reason why I had to bring this up is your whole family are the stars in Red River Road. And how was it like to direct your wife and kids in this film?
Well, my wife and I met in acting class. I know it's such a cliche. And it took us a year to figure out that we were in love with each other, because we just worked so well together. We did every scene together. I'd either direct her in something or we'd be in a scene together. We started writing things together, and it's just been it's sort of what brought us together. So on the one hand, it's super easy because it's what we do. But when we fight or we disagree, we're passionate people. It gets super intense. Our kids actually had to step in and play ref, like, hey, well,
can we just shoot?
That we have to behave ourselves in front of, things got
Well, that's fascinating that you're saying that,
That's
Paul,
actually
because
pretty
my first reaction is, are your kids trained actors, or did they just have to kind of like jump into the moment and was like, man, we're kind of making this happen, I guess, during the pandemic. Settle down, mom and dad.
No, they we're blessed to be on Cape Cod where there's great theater, great live theater. And so they grew up in the theater. They've been trained, they've been on stage a ton of times, they've done movies. So yeah, their whole thing though was they just wanted to be playing Rust, you know.
Yep. Video games, you know, they like to be with their
Each and 5.
I guess there is a little bit of that parlay with the mix, because, you know, it's always, you know, us generation, that's our intention to jump online immediately if anything hits the fan. But we don't want to give away too much. But Paul, when you decided to write and direct and act, and again, you edited it and you did the cinematography, which is insane. I think we need to come up with a whole new terminology, Marissa. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be quite yet, but we are literally talking to a living legend himself. And I'm even seeing in your background right now, you are literally living on set. And I think that is so freaking cool. And I don't often get to talk to triple threats like yourself. So what's tougher? Is it the writing? Is it the acting or the directing?
I think honestly, the sound design is the hardest because there's so much minutia to it. As far as the different aspects of it, I just put on a different hat. You know, writing is a very isolated thing. Directing is a very people solving problems. It's very engaged. Then it's back into the dungeon to edit, which is sort of like editing too. You kind of rewrite the story as you go along. So yeah, I just shift into different perspectives. And the acting, I really, since I wrote the character, I had a real sense of who he was. So it was easy to just go, all right, I got the camera set up. This is where we're going to be. I block everybody else. And it's like, go.
So did you write with the editing in mind then? Because I know other like writers who do their editing too on there, and they'll write already thinking about the editing. Did you do that? Or in the editing floor, did you find things like that doesn't work and start cutting?
I don't. I write to write. I just want to exist in the situation and the story and let the characters sort of decide what's going to happen. And I have a sense plot wise where I want it to go, but sometimes they take me in a different direction. So I'm very free. The only limitation I had was we got to be in the house and it's just the 4 of us. That's my limitation. Directing, I'm just out there to gather as much stuff, as much material as I can get. Cause I know the script in the editing room is just going to be sort of a vague outline. What did the performances now bring? That's going to sort of shift.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I was going to say, Paul, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like, you know, every blockbuster film has to go through these hurdles and roadblocks to make their moving pictures a reality. And what challenges did you experience on this film? I mean, when you were saying the sound, was it more, did you have to go through like a whole ADR process? Was like every dialogue completely butchered? Is that what you were saying during the film session?
So they're isolated. And there's not supposed to be any people around. And even on Cape Cod in the middle of a pandemic, anytime we decided to shoot, you could hear lawnmowers or leaf.
I was about to say the lawnmower must have been going.
I mean, everyone's like, I'm going to take care of my lawn now. So it really stood us up. So to create that sense of silence, I had to build all that from either.
So how did you have to navigate through these production realities?
Yeah, it's just, you got to be flexible. You know, you got to have plan B, C, D, all the way down.
And what were those plans?
Did you ever go down to like a neighbor and just be like, hey, dog, I'm shooting right now. Can you just lay off on it? Because I've been on sets and we've done that. We're like, hey, excuse me, can you just stop for 5 minutes?
Yeah, that's a real reality.
Yeah, I know. You know, we were too small to be impolite about it.
No, I think, Paul, what you're trying to say is I don't want to piss off the neighbor because you're trying to have a couple more shoots at the house.
Yeah. The only thing I did tell him was like, hey, we're filming a movie. So if you hear a lot of screaming and yelling, more than normal coming from a house, don't call the cops.
Oh, I'm so glad you warned them. I was in a film and we didn't warn the neighbors. No, my kid gets killed. And so I come running out screaming, and I'm holding the child actor screaming bloody murder, and the neighbors didn't know, and they came out. One called the cops. Like, it was a huge thing because they honestly thought like a kid got hit, and I saw it.
Yeah, they had that recently in New York where they had actors who were dressed up as firefighters when a fire was literally across the street, and they're just standing there like, I don't know what you want us to do. which I think is hilarious. But Paul, in Red River Road, the family is isolating themselves against a global pandemic that spreads through the internet and robs the person of their ability to perceive reality. And was this a direct shot towards Dr. Fauci and the pandemic?
You know, I get asked this question a lot about the political message. And honestly, I just made it this, I wanted to isolate them. And I figured if you take away the internet or their connection to the outside world, they're really isolated. So it's more of like The Thing, where it's that paranoia that grows out of being stuck together. Obviously, it was simmering in the back of my mind and it just came through. So it's there. I'm not going to deny that there's not sort of like the echo chamber that we live in currently with social media, et cetera, so forth. But I didn't mean it to be a sledgehammer or to lead with that. So like I said, the film is built so that you can bring yourself to it and reflect your own.
Trust me, you bring yourself into it because we all lived through it. I mean, the film definitely came out like at the perfect time during the worst time in our lives. I think that's why your film has been working out so well, and it's been getting that great reception from all kinds of movie critics out there. And do you view, technology as an opportunity or a threat?
I think it's like anything else. It's just got to be wielded with some responsibility. You just have to take responsibility for how you're using it. I mean, as far as it being a tool, it's incredible. The way people can collaborate and communicate is the greatest it's ever been in existence. But with that comes a lot of, openness to abuse it or just not use it responsibly, like alcohol or owning a gun, something like that. It's like you got to sort of self-monitor yourself and go, am I treating this healthily? Am I treating it the way it's supposed to be treated?
Oh yeah,
and also
absolutely.
Have people around you that can help you self-monitor, because it doesn't help. Like I said, I know Ye's in the news right now about buying Parlor and this and that, and there's nobody in his circle to help him self-monitor. Right. So sometimes you gotta listen to that buddy.
Yeah, Marissa,
there's no one there to say no, and they just go off the deep end.
Yeah. I mean, Marissa, you both of you guys are getting exactly to my point, because like for me, we've reached a saturation point. I mean, we got every celebrity and sports athlete, doing their podcast. And now, just like how Marissa just referenced, Kanye West, often known as Ye nowadays, he just acquired Parler. And so if Kanye West comes to own Parler and Elon Musk takes the reign on Twitter, will people connect in a meaningful way? Or is this like a bull that's just impossible to lasso?
I think people will do what they're naturally driven to do. I think there are plenty of people that use these tools in a responsible way to communicate accordingly. There's always going to be people that just want to believe what they want to believe, or it gives them, the opportunity to do that they might not otherwise have. But at the end of the day, it's about, responsibility to yourself, taking responsibility.
As a parent, because I know we're talking about social media, have you had any issues with your kids and their use of social media? Because that's one thing we always talk about with kids and the depression and their influences is, where's the parent? Where are they stepping in? So have you had any talks or issues with your kids about social media and how to responsibly use it?
We always drilled that into them. And to be fair, because they had the theater, they were into sports, there was a lot of external stuff. They craved meeting in person, having that, like, I want to go hang out with my friends. So it seemed that they used it really sparingly. And I don't know if that's just because from day one, we sort of drilled it like, hey, this isn't just some free for all here. You got to be present on planet Earth with your feet
I think
up.
you were connecting them with community. Humans crave human touch and interaction. And if you're not getting that in the real sense, then you do turn to the social media, and then that's that warped reality.
Right.
Which is a lot about your film.
You get home after work, it's like, I don't really want to go out. You got to kind of force yourself to go out. So it is easy to jump on Zoom or jump on Rust or any of those online player games. And there is community, I'm not going to deny that, especially in the pandemic when they couldn't see people and they had that. Thank God they had that, to stay in touch and feel that sense, even though it was a little bit removed.
Absolutely. And, Paul, I want to have some fun with you, because if you had the opportunity to remake a classic, because that just seems like what everybody wants to do in the industry nowadays, which one would you go for?
What I would remake, I would never want to show to people because the original is perfect in every way. I would just want to do it, and that would be to remake Jaws because it's my favorite film.
Oh,
that is the scariest film ever.
See, I was not actually expecting that answer out of you. And I think Jaws.
It's because he's from Cape Cod.
I live in Jaws.
I know. Because all the buildings are there. Like you got easy access.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like in this new decade, Paul, like the cinematic world is like inundated with remakes taking over the scene. I mean, for myself personally, I find it to be a bit problematic as I feel like it doesn't allow the next rising great superstar to get his work out there into the mix.
Or her work.
That's true too. Well, we don't question pronouns. No, we don't question pronouns on the Chris College. Take it, Marissa. No, we much love Marissa. that's my co-host looking out for me, fam. But hey, what's your message to make it in the film world?
You know, it's tough. I started when it was just film, and then like home video was kind of a minor thing. So your only chance was if you got to Sundance and somebody picked it up and put it out in a movie theater, then you probably had a career. Now there's so many outlets. You got YouTube, you got Vimeo, you've got all these small distribution companies, you've got streaming services. So this movie is this is my calling card. I can get it out there. Hopefully somebody sees it. But at the end of the day, it's still like if you don't get into Sundance or TIFF or one of the huge festivals and get Apple in a bidding war on you, you're probably gonna have to make 1, 2, maybe 3 little indie movies until something rises above, you know, sort of the noise of how much product is out there. At the
Do you think? Go for it, Paul.
I was gonna say at the end of the day, have a good story.
Yeah.
Story is what people crave. There's a ton of content out there, and a lot of it feels flat. It feels recycled. It feels padded. Like binging TV series now, it's like let's go.
Yeah.
Episode to flesh out this thing that's really meaningless, and I think people are getting so oversaturated and exhausted by it that when something comes along that's tight and it moves and it tells a story with characters that you care about, it's going to jump out.
What do you think about the film festival scene? Because I kind of feel like there's so many of them nowadays that a lot of the times I feel like it doesn't serve the purpose of what a film festival was all about in general, was really kind of giving your film that exposure. Do you feel the same way?
To some degree, I do. I think it is an opportunity. Like I'm lucky enough, I run the movie theater here in town. So Red River Road did a 4-week.
So they are forced to watch it.
Or you're going to get thrown in with the sharks.
That's all you're able to see is Red River Road.
So I get to see myself on the big screen, which is how I mean it to be. For a lot of these filmmakers, film festival is the only chance they're ever going to have to see it on the big screen and really get to enjoy it and have an audience. So with that regard, it's awesome. In terms of promoting people or getting them out there, not so much. I mean, Sundance, honestly, it's corporatized. Those movies are already pushed by distributors or studios. Maybe one.
They've had back deals before they even were shown. There were back deals already in there.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's always tied to a certain entity or a studio front. And, you know, why do you think A24 is always referenced at Sundance?
Of course. And,
come on now. Let's be real. And, you know, just to kind of wrap up this conversation, you've been so awesome, Paul. Yeah. But, you know, this is always something that stuck with me because, you know, I went 8 years in film school, my undergrad and grad school at Cal State LA, and I always treasure my time with them. But I always feel like, do you have to go to film school to learn this kind of knowledge, to be the triple threat that you are today?
No. When I started, it was film and mag reels, and it was a real technical thing. So you had to learn those things, and there was no YouTube to do it. Now I just tell people, save your money because you're going to need it to shoot something. Everything you need to know is either on a DVD extra. Just watch any David Fincher movie extras. He gives a whole film course every time he does one. It's all on YouTube. And then just watch a ton of great movies. And if you like a movie, figure out who that director was influenced by, and then go back in history until you trace all the way to the roots. That's going to give you everything you need to know about how to tell stories visually, how to construct a story. Yeah.
That's
I feel like I'm talking to Elon Musk.
No,
I mean, Elon said the same thing. He's like, why go to college when you can just go on YouTube? A lot of the great lessons are on there.
And I have to say, Paul, you're the first director to actually talk about the lineage of where you're getting your influences from and to look at that. So kudos on that. That one's brilliant.
Go ahead and check out his remarkable film. It's called Red River Road. And where can they find that out on demand?
It's on all the major VOD streaming platforms: Vudu, Amazon, Apple, Google Play.